just like the episode jumps right into the last performance of the mission, I'm gonna jump right into the review. Just kidding, the episode obviously started with an intro and a recap, and because I'm bad at intros, I'll jump straight to the recap bit. Island versus island, ground versus ground, winner takes island. As the Like Ua team walks to the stage, Ju-won wonders why Fuko and Ji-yoon subverted expectations like that, and she's absolutely valid because the other way around would have done way more for both of them, but made beds, you know. As we get into the Like Ua team dynamic, I am overwhelmed by a need to see Gyuri, Ji-yoon, and Fuko debut together. I think there's a visual, vocal, dance, and personality harmony here that the producers would be fools not to capitalize on. I need them to have an R&B pop-based discography heavily inspired by Red Velvet and Billie. Now, the big conflict of Like Ua was the fact that Ji-yoon didn't match the concept. She doesn't have a natural affinity for aegyo, and she felt unsuited to the concept, and I am here to set the record straight. Like Ua is not a cute concept song. Like Ua is a prototype of teen fresh / crush and is meant to be youthful and refreshing with a girl crush tinge, not cute. Twice pivoted towards cute concepts because Like Ua wasn't as impactful as they had hoped, while Cheer Up blew up. I feel like we're now too far removed from 2015 to remember that. And mind you, there have been cute songs with horror themes, such as Gugudan's Ogu Ogu's Ice Chew, and Like Ua does not fit that. I would ironically compare it more to Purple Kiss's Zombie. My point being, if they had accurately framed this as youthful and refreshing instead of cute, I think Ji-yoon and the team as a whole would have done a lot better. But they didn't, so the interim evaluation for Like Ua is rough. Basically, all the girls receive criticism except Gyuri. Maybe controversial to say, but I think Fuko's greed, because there's not really a more suitable word for it, to showcase a different side of herself, sabotaged both herself and Ji-yoon. While Fuko still did well in Bad Boy, anyone can see these could have been their defining performances had the roles been reversed. As for the performance, was it good? Partly. Mostly Gyuri's parts. She really shone in this concept, and the vocals were very suited to her tone, which can't be said about everyone here. Chaeyeon was a letdown because she had that one line, but it was so muddled I had to double check it wasn't a foreign contestant. There was also a part where the caption says it was Yuna, the camera goes to Eunchae, but nobody's actually singing it, which confused me a lot. I have to agree with the mentors that Eunchae really wasn't felt on stage. She wasn't technically that bad, she just disappeared into the crowd. Oh, Yuna actually became someone I was rooting for throughout the stage. Does she still need some refinement? Absolutely, but I felt like I was seeing a new side to her. One that can hold her own on stage. But then they decided that the main dancer sings during the dance break portion, which means she has to sing while swinging her head down and back up, and that was just setting her up for failure. It's not like that's Momo's part in the original. Yuiko was really forgettable. She wasn't technically bad, I didn't notice any mistakes, but I almost forgot to include her in this review. Finally, Ji-yoon. I could tell she was trying throughout, it just wasn't enough, and the song was like the antitheses of her vocal tone, at least the parts she had to handle. But she pulled off the high notes beautifully in my opinion, so I'll give her props for that. Overall, Gyuri is the obvious standout of this stage, with Ji-yoon and Yuna fighting for second place in different categories. Chaeyeon also wasn't necessarily bad, just a bit unintelligible. Gyuri got so much praise from the mentors, and she deserved every bit of it. I could see her getting a score in the 90s for this. And the mentors at least recognized that Ji-yoon wasn't sent to ground due to lack of skills, because they noticed a big difference between her more comfortable concepts and this. But this leads us to the 2 eliminations from ground and the winners and losers of this mission. In Island, Whistle receives points as follows. Jimin 82 points, Yuju 81 points, Sojung 84 points, Yui 91 points and the highest in Whistle, Sarang 84 points, and Minsol 68 points, the lowest in Island, for a total of 490 points. Panorama receives points as follows. Seoul 83 points, Mai 88 points, Juwon 83 points, Jungin 83 points, Coco 88 points, and Sebi 93 points, the highest in Island, for a total of 518 points, making Panorama the winners of this round. This means all of Whistle go to ground and are eligible for elimination. This leads to the girls saying their goodbyes in tears, and many of the Panorama team, particularly Sebi, feeling guilty about their pair's fate. I will admit, this section was a bit much for me. As for ground, with 459 points against 435, Bad Boy took the win and advanced to Island. Again, the tearful, guilty separation was too much for me. It was cruel and unusual punishment to do this to the poor girls. But a little part of me loves seeing Fuko and Jiyoon's friendship. I need them to debut together so bad. They bring Whistle and Like Ua to the stage again for the first elimination. The 3 candidates for elimination are Like Ua's Kim Eun-chae and Yuiko, and Whistle's Kim Min-so. Eun-chae receives 65 points and Yuiko's 67, both less than Minsol's 68, meaning they are eliminated. I would probably feel worse if Mnet had given me a good reason to care about these girls, but they ignored Ground so hard I can't even think of one memorable thing between them except Yuiko changing her mind after seeing Fuko and Bad Boy. Speaking of Fuko, the Bad Boy team scores are as follows. Fuko 88 points, Kang Ji-won 63 points, the lowest overall. Ji-won 82 points, Nana 74 points, Yeon 79 points, and Ling 73 points. I told you Fuko and Ji-won carried this performance. Do I think this elimination strategy is worse than Universe Ticket? No, it's still slightly better, but I will never co-sign this public humiliation type elimination. These girls deserve better. We don't even get to dwell on the eliminations before we have to move on to the next thing, which is unit battles. There's going to be a 2-member vocal unit from both Ground and Island, 3-member dance units, and then 5 members from Ground and 7 members from Island in creative units, where they have to come up with their own choreographies. They each get assigned songs, with the Island vocal unit getting Taeyeon's Fine, while Ground unit got Taeyang's Eyes, Nose, Lips. The dance units got Idol's My Bag and the Seraphim's Eve Psyche and the Bluebeard's Wife Rina Sawayama remix for Island. And BTS's Mic Drop Steve Aoki remix and Natty's Sugarcoat for Ground. The creative units both had to come up with choreos for Lady Gaga's Rain on Me. Jungin is unanimously voted into the vocal unit without even volunteering, and she picks Fuko to join her. As Island begin to speculate on who will go for what in Ground, Sojung volunteers for their vocal unit to the shock of everyone in Ground. While Grounders wonder about her motivation, they vote Jiyoon into the vocal unit, and Gyuri is unanimously voted to join her. In Island, they decide to make a dance unit with Coco, Jiwon, and Eun-ji-won. This brings us to strategy talks, and it is clear as day that the two sides view this mission very differently. Also, anybody else find it uncomfortable how I just went back and forth between the narratives? Because if you did, I find no joy in telling you this is what the viewing experience is like, except worse. Anyways, in Island, they decide it's okay to sacrifice the creative unit because they're so confident they'll win the vocal and dance battle, completely forgetting how many people who deserve to be in Island have been demoted. Top 10 strategies made before disaster. I wonder how this will play out narratively. This leaves Sebi, Mai, Ling, Kang Ji-won, Nana, Yin, and Sol for the creative unit. On the other hand, Grounders convince Sujung to go for the creative unit because they need all the aces they can get. And honestly, this is not the mission to decide to show the judges a new side to yourself. I'm glad the Grounders recognized that they needed everyone to be in their element, even if it meant Sujung couldn't showcase herself as a vocalist. After a second audition, Jiyoon decides she thinks Minsol suits the song more, and so Gyuri is moved to the creative unit alongside Sujung, Chaeyeon, Yuju, and Jimin. Yui and Sarang are quick to join forces for the dance unit and rope Yuna in with them as well. I was struggling with it since the beginning of the show, but I finally figured out who Sujung reminds me of. It's Soyeon from Idol. They even have similar personalities as creatives, at least based on my knowledge of Soyeon from Queendom. Very different focuses though. They then do a super dramatic Somi reveal, but now I'm stuck on did they really bring Somi there just to talk to the Islanders? Really hope they'll reveal she went to the Grounders next episode. Otherwise, that's just messed up. If anyone needs encouragement from their senior, it would be the Grounders. And then she only said like 3 sentences to them in the edit. They spent way more time dramatizing the previous survival show contestants. Lip J and Wanawan's Kim Jae-hwan show up as special mentors for the interim, and we get to see the vocal teams first. I neglected to write down my thoughts and recap of the vocal team background, so I will be pulling from memory. Forgive me. For Island, we have, as stated, Fuko and Jungin tackling fine. Their practices seem to go well, but unfortunately some mistakes were made during the interim. Jungin misses her high note, and she's criticized for lacking emotional interpretation. They end up getting a one-on-one lesson with Jaehwan. Fuko also tries to guide Jungin for the emotional interpretation, and I gotta be real with you guys. I have no idea why Mnet chose to edit in a bunch of Fuko and Jiyoon moments while she was explaining her understanding of the song's breakup theme. Like I said, I love seeing more of their friendship, but this was too much. It feels like something you would see a shipper do, not the actual survival show program. It was weird. They should have just done, in general, Fuko has experience with partying on this program and shown her leaving island and leaving ground. But no, they chose to make it seem like Fuko is only thinking about Ji-yoon. On the performance itself, I think 24 set them up. He rearranged the song into only an acoustic guitar, and that immediately undercuts the emotions of it. It makes me, at least, think of campfires, busking, intimate but not overly emotional moments. And this makes it very jarring when the girls start belting all over the place, vocal acrobatics, and everything. Because I feel like we should be having a calm, intimate, perhaps vulnerable moment. Maybe they could have achieved something more effective by making the first chorus very soft, but that would undercut the bridge. Bad choices were made. I can understand why people felt like their interpretation was more like a love song than a breakup song, especially with the smiling, but I also think the instrumental and staging and outfits did them a disservice. Vocally, it was, no pun intended, fine, but the overall delivery felt lacking to me. I think I would give them somewhere between 88 to 90 points on a 100-point scale, but I feel confident saying it would be higher if the rest of the performance matched the vocals. That moves us to ground. Again, I'm not spend so little time on these girls. I don't even remember what they showed us before the interim, except for the unit switch for Minsol and Gyuri. I also don't fully remember the comments during the interim, but it was even rougher. They hadn't even been practicing together, so Ji-yoon was missing cues, the harmonies were off, Ji-yoon's high note was off, just a whole mess. But they did take that feedback with them and started practicing together more. However, the final performance was much better than the interim, but I can't help but feel bad for Minsol. This was Ji-yoon's performance, and their voices really, on a very basic level, yes, they have suitable voices, but Ji-yoon has a very unique vocal tone and how she uses her voice, and Minsol did not provide a contrast to that, more just a baseline for Ji-yoon's voice to stand out. This is a big reason why I think Gyuri was the best option, because her voice provided that much needed contrast. Think like Rosie and Jisoo. Complementary but very contrasting voices. This performance was still chill-inducing, despite this review being based on the second watch. I do have to agree with the judges that I want to see Ji-yoon's solo version, because past the first chorus, I felt a bit disappointed every time Minsol started singing. Ji-yoon's voice was just so much more powerful and impactful, and it's not a commentary on the quality of Minsol's singing. I thought she did great. This was bad planning and a little bit bad execution in the sense that there were moments where it felt like Minsol was copying Ji-yoon's style of singing. The judges hit the nail on the head when they said this was Ji-yoon's defining stage. I think this is going to be a performance people will come back to reflect on Ji-yoon. In my opinion, this is a 90 to 93 point stage, the thing dragging it down being that it doesn't feel like there was equal weight between them. However, both stages received endless praises from the judges, who were very conflicted on who deserved the win. You already know I think ground was better, but the final score was 91 island and 92 ground. This means 3 islanders and 3 grounders will switch places. Now we move on to the dance units. As mentioned, Island's dance unit features Ji-won, Son Ji-won, and Coco doing Idol's My Bag and the Seraphim's Eve Psyche remix. The interim causes the Islanders to reconsider their expectations of sweeping the competition, and we get to see Monica losing her mind as a choreographer. I honestly love how passionate Monica is about dancing and performing, and I think it both provides humor and a sense for just how dedicated she is to seeing them do well. Would I personally want her as a dance mentor in a program like Produce, where she actually has to teach the basics and adjust her expectations? I don't think so. But seeing her on programs where the standard is already high is just amazing, watching an artist at work. Anyways, she loses it and tells Ji-won to fix her expressions, that she always does the same face, there's no variety for different moods, etc. And I'm not qualified to comment on that, but I think it is a comment on how her skills as a dancer are so good that not seeing her expressions be on the same level is disappointing. Trying to give this a more positive spin, because Ji-won completely spiraled. Like, to the point that I'm worried about her, because that's the kind of spiral I go on. But with the help of Ji-won and Coco, she manages to bounce back, find her confidence, and start experimenting more with her expressions. Now the performance. The only note I took before watching the full version, as in what I noted while watching the version that aired on the show, is that the move they removed from Red Velvet's ice cream cake choreo for being inappropriate for 16-year-old Yeri is being performed here. by a 14-year-old Ji-won. This industry is in the gutter, we gotta just destroy everything and start from scratch at this point. This isn't even Mnut's first time doing something like this. There's at least 2 instances in every one of their survival shows that has a minor around the age of 14-15 do an inappropriate performance or choreo. And that's without even bringing up what the creator of Produce called the series, which I cannot repeat on YouTube, but I am sure someone can clarify in the comments if anyone is unaware. Then the episode cuts off after Ground started performing, and I hate it when shows do that. I know why they do it, but I can still hate it all the same. They start teasing the next mission, which is a one-on-one position battle to determine who gets to say on the show in part 2. Closing thoughts on this one is Mnut's formulaic editing needs to be given up to God. There's very little they can do to surprise us now, 8 years in and counting. Like, okay, Island are super cocky that they'll win vocal and dance and leave the rest to lose in creative, so they contrast that with Ground being strategic and pushing for a good balance in their units. I wonder who might pull off a win against all odds. You know, you can't do the underdog edit every time because then audiences will know that having an underdog edit means they'll win. You gotta give the overpowered contestants a deserved win so the underdog win is more surprising. Mnut is in there, of course the underdog is gonna win era, and I think they need to give it up already. They almost had it with Ground last round, but they still didn't pull it off because they didn't really know what they were doing with Ground and focused way more on Island. Anyways, maybe it's a choreo issue, but I just found it hard to connect to the Island team. Clearly a lot of talent between them, but I just wasn't sold. I've made it very clear I am not the one to judge dancing or choreography or anything of the sorts, so I do rely on judges to give accurate feedback in those cases. It boiled down to that it felt like Coco and Friends to them, and hey, I said last video I wanted to see Coco get to shine as a dancer, and she clearly did. But I'm not sure if I felt they were being unfair to Ji-won. I can agree that Ji-won lacked impact, but I didn't feel like Ji-won was closer to her than Coco. I think they're trying to set up a redemption for Ji-won in a way. I'll get more into it next video. In other news, I'm thinking of adding Sujung to my lineup, but I don't know who she would replace, so I'm gonna let the next episode determine that. But overall, I hope we all keep in mind that all of these stories are manufactured to some extent. Certain interactions and quotes are cherry-picked to build the narrative, and Mnut can take something a contestant said, link it to something unrelated in the edit, and create a whole new narrative for us.